Hey there, today we're going to be looking at the Moza Air 3-axis gimbal camera stabilizer. I was contacted and asked to see if I was interested in trying it out and sharing my experience. And since I'm a video creator, of course I said yes. So now that I've used it for a little bit, I'm ready to tell you my thoughts on it. Right from the get-go, I noticed lots of good things about the Moza Air. First, starting with the price. The Moza Air is listed at just under $800 Canadian or just under $600 US dollars. Then, once I received it, I was greeted with a nice solid hard case. After opening the case, the first thing I noticed is the number of accessories included with the Moza Air. No other pistol grip style gimbals I've used came with dual handles as an included base accessory. Not even the more expensive ones. So this is definitely a great start for getting more out of your money. Now before I go any further, let's go through some key specs, specifically the two important ones, runtime and weight capacity. The Moza Air has an advertised runtime of about 12 hours on a single charge. I've used it for at least 8 hours, and then I lost count. So from my experience, at least 8. Though it should be noted that runtime vary depending on weight and the balance of your setup. As for weight capacity, it has an advertised max payload of 7 pounds or 3.2 kilograms. Unfortunately, I could not verify this because I don't have a camera that's actually that heavy. However, weight is probably not something you should be worrying about. This is because the space is limited, so usually any camera that is that heavy probably can't even fit on the gimbal anyways. So this gimbal is definitely designed for a smaller camera and lens setup. On to setup. Before balancing my camera, I wanted to calibrate it first. So I downloaded the computer program and followed the on-screen instructions. It was mostly all very straightforward and I was done calibrating within several minutes. Just remember to turn on the gimbal in the right mode when you're connecting it. But apart from that, it's rather painless. Oh, and I should probably mention that you can also do the calibration through the phone app too. Now onto balancing, which is painless with this toolless design. And if you've done it before on any other gimbal, then it's pretty straightforward too. So after I balanced it, I went out and tried it. And I have to say it works pretty well. It does take away a lot of the shake from your shots. However, I do have to note that it does not take away 100% of the shake. For instance, when I'm jogging and my feet hits the ground, some of that impact still managed to make it to the camera. But this is not something exclusive to the Moza Air. Part of it is simply because 3-axis gimbal only stabilizes rotational motion and not positional motion. But even this shake can be reduced by simply using an image stabilized lens, which you can see in this shot here. Another thing I would like to mention is that the weight is nice. At 2.4 pounds or 1.1 kilograms by itself, it is lighter than a lot of other gimbals that I've tried. And this is great if you intend to use it for a long time because it'll save you from fatigue and pain. Apart from just walking and running with a gimbal, I decided to try something more extreme. This is not something I've done before, but I figured it was a good test. I decided to stick the Moza Air through the sunroof of a car and see if it can stabilize the car motions. My result from this test is that if you're going a straight line on a decently paved road, it seems to be able to handle up to about 100 kilometers per hour or about 60 miles per hour. However, with the default motor setting I had on at the time, any 90-degree turn of the car would get the gimbal stuck. So if you intend to stick it out of the window or do something similar, I suggest you test it out for yourself before doing it on an actual shoot. Also, I am not responsible for anything that happens to your camera or gimbal if you happen to do something like that. Do that at your own risk. Finally, let's talk about the app. The Moza Air Assistant app includes a whole bunch of settings and features for you to play with. The app is also laid out very logically and is mostly intuitive to use. Some settings and features include motion tuning, remote control, time-lapse, and one of my favorite features is programmable motion. This lets you pre-program camera moves and then have it play back over and over. I actually use this a lot and I really wish that it's on all other gimbals. So far everything seems to be good about the app. But it's not perfect. There are certainly times where the app locks up or commands don't go through. Sometimes it's simply a connection issue, but there are certainly times where it's just the app. For instance, I've ran into occasional problems where the app won't connect or detect a gimbal until I force stop the app and reopen. It's not too big of an issue, you can solve it relatively easy, but it's great if I didn't have to do that. There's also the other thing I would like to add. While the Bluetooth app connection does work up to the 3-meter specs, I found that sometimes it is a little bit finicky and it would just lag for a second here or there. Usually I chalk this up to typical wireless behavior, but having used other gimbals that don't have these hiccups, it definitely seems like it's specific to the Moza Air gimbal. Having said that though, one simple solution is to simply bring your device closer to the Moza Air so the connection is stronger, and that would definitely reduce the amount of hiccups you run into. So finally, my closing thoughts. Looking at the overall package from the functions, performance, included accessories, and of course the price, I personally think that this gimbal is one of the best price to performance ratio for your money. So if you're looking for a cheap but good 3-axis motorized gimbal, then the Moza Air is certainly worth your consideration. If you guys liked the video, consider leaving a thumbs up. If you guys want more, consider subscribing if you haven't. And if you have anything else to say or have questions, leave it in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video.